Western states in continental Europe abandoned their Christian values.
Именно такого исхода братоубийства хотели враги России и неонацисты в Киеве.
Here is an opportunity on the brink of these 5 potentially landmark decisions by the Supreme Court that we take our country. Then Project 2025 is the answer. This is how we sort of reset the balance.
Start back to the list! We're almost beating down! We start one step down, one by one!
When he who had ruled 5 years, and they informed us that he who had claimed to have been sent by God was ready for his promised war. The steelworks had forged tank, gun, and warship, and there waited within his hangars aircraft in so great a number that they would be calling to his command to darken all the heavens. Then we became determined to see what sort of nation formed from what sort of people, in what condition, and what sort of thoughts thinking he would be calling to his colors. We staged a march past. Now they come towards us.
One only hears the band. The Third Reich marches on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The Third Reich marches on. Rising is arriving, for his defense surviving.
United Nation. I'm expecting the German people to make an unprecedented moral revival.
And just wait till we've coaxed a German man from among all those filthy subhumans. Hey, what part of Berlin is this?
You've come the wrong way.
A horrible sight.
Lots of crooks round here.
You think it could be dangerous?
Decent comrades don't live in such slums.
Not a light to be seen either.
Nobody at home.
That not I. It kept them coming along to see the birth of the Third Reich, who we best cover our rear. Isn't this the bit by the canal?
Don't ask me.
Over there, where we cleaned up a bunch of Marxists. Afterwards, they said it was a Catholic youth club. half the eyes, not one of them was wearing a collar.
Think he'll really make us a united nation?
He'll make anything.
Emma, over here.
What's that?
Emma.
That's them! Help! Get him! Over there.
First to appear are the traitors. You've given away the neighbors. You know that people know. For the streets will forget them. They can sleep in their conscience will let them. There's so far still to go.
Hello?
Oh, hey, oh, what are you doing? Oh, stop it! Ah,
They've got to the ground floor.
Not quite.
They smashed the banisters. He already passed out by the time they dragged him out of his flat.
I simply said the sound of foreign broadcasts didn't come from here.
That wasn't all you said.
I said nothing more than that.
Don't look at me that way. You say nothing more. You say nothing more.
That's the point.
Might not go out to the police. Make a statement saying nobody called there Saturday.
Catch me going to the police? It's inhumane! The way they're treating him.
He asked for it. What's he want to meddle in politics for?
Didn't have to rip his jacket, though. Our sword is not well off for clothes.
With the jacket, more or less.
It didn't have to rip it.
Here come the worthy school teachers. The youth movement takes the poor creatures and makes them all thrust out their chests. Every school boys a spy. So now marking is based not on knowledge, but narking, and none who knows his business best. They educate traducers to set hatchet men and bruisers on their own parents' hill, denounced by their sons as traitors. The fathers go handcuffed to jail.
Mr. and Mrs. Nix are asking if you are at home.
No.
You should have gone to the phone yourself. They must know we couldn't have possibly have gone out yet.
Well, why couldn't we?
Because it's raining.
That's no reason.
Where could we have gone to? That's the first thing they'll ask.
Masses of places.
Let's go then.
Where to?
If only it wasn't raining.
And where would we go if it wasn't raining?
Well, at least in the old days you could go out and meet someone. It was a mistake you not going to the phone. Now they'll realize we don't want to have them.
Suppose they do.
Then it wouldn't look very nice. Our are dropping them just when everyone else does.
We're not dropping them.
Why shouldn't they come here in that case?
Because Clemens bores me to tears.
He never bored you in the old days.
Oh, the old days. Right? All this talk of the old days gets me down.
Well, anyhow, you'd never have cut him just because the school inspectors are after him.
Are you telling me I'm a coward? All right, just ring up and tell them we have just come back on account of the rain.
What about asking the Luckies to come over?
And have them going on telling us we're slack about civil defense?
Klaus Heinrich, stop fiddling with the wireless!
No, it's a disaster. It's raining like this. You know, it's quite intolerable living in a country where it's a disaster every time it rains.
Do you really think it's sensible to go around making remarks like that?
I make what remarks I like within my own four walls. This is my own home, and I shall damn well say that I can say whatever.
We've been over that again and again. The last thing you said was that it had its advantages.
Well, what aren't I supposed to have said? If we mentioned anything of the sort to your mother, we could have landed in a proper mess.
Things I talk about to my mother. That's all right, Anna. You can go now. I'll see to it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Is that how figures always say that?
How do you mean?
Like it says here.
Is that your reading?
Yeah. Our group leader said it was all right for us to know anything in that paper.
I don't have to go by what your group leader says. It is up to me to decide what you can or can't read.
There's 10 pennies. Klaus Heinrich, run over and get yourself something.
But it's raining.
You know, if they go on reporting these cases against priests, I'll cancel the paper altogether.
Which are you going to take then? They're all reporting them.
If they're all reporting this kind of filth, I would sooner read the paper at all. And I wouldn't be any worse informed about what's going on in the world.
There's something to be said for a bit of cleanup.
Cleanup indeed. The whole thing's politics.
Well, it's none of our business anyway. After all, we're Protestants.
It matters to our people, all right, if they can't hear the word vestry without being reminded of dirt like this.
Well, what do you want them to do when this kind of thing happens?
What do I want them to do? Suppose they looked into their own backyard. You know, I'm told it's not so snowy white in that brown house of theirs.
But that only goes to show how far our people's recovery has gone, Carl.
Recovery. A nice kind of recovery. If that's what recovery looks like, I'd take the disease any day.
You are so on edge today. Did something happen at the school?
What on earth could have happened at school? And for God's sake, stop saying I'm on edge, all right? It makes me feel on edge.
You ought to keep on Carl and so Carl. In the old days.
In the old days, just what I was waiting for. In the old days nor now did I wish to have my son's imagination perverted for him.
Where has he got to anyway?
How am I to know?
Did you see him go?
No.
I can't think where he could have gone. Klaus Heinrich! Klaus Heinrich! Klaus Heinrich! He really has left.
Okay, well, why shouldn't he?
But it's raining buckets.
Why are you so on edge of the boys having left?
You remember what we were talking about?
What does that have to do with it?
You have been so careless lately.
Certainly not been careless. But even if I had, what does that have to do with the boys having left?
You know how they listen to everything?
Well?
Well, suppose he goes around telling people. You know how they're always spinning it into them in the Hitler Youth. They deliberately encourage the kids to repeat everything. So all is going off so quietly.
Rubbish.
Didn't you see when he went?
He was hanging around the window for quite a time.
I'd like to know how much he heard.
Well, he must know what happens to people who get reported.
What about the boy the Schmookies were telling us about? They say his father's still in a concentration camp. I wish we knew how long he was in the room.
Whole thing is just a load of rubbish.
I just can't see him going off without saying a word. It wouldn't be like him.
Mightn't he be with a school friend?
Then he'd have to be at the Mummerlands. I'll give him a ring. Is that Mrs. Mummerman? It's Miss Forkey here. Good afternoon. Is Klaus Heinrich with you? He isn't? Where on earth can the boy be? Mrs. Mummerman, do you happen to know if the Hitler Youth Place is open on Sunday afternoons? It is. Thanks a lot. I'll ask them.
What do you think he overheard?
You were talking about the paper. You should have said He's so patriotic about that kind of
What was
thing.
I supposed to say about the Brown House?
You remember perfectly well how things were dull, snowy white in there.
Nobody can take that as an attack. Can they? I mean, saying things aren't white, or snowy white, rather, as I qualified, which makes a difference, quite a substantial one at that. It's more kind of a jocular remark, like the man in the street makes in the vernacular, sort of. And all it means is that probably, not absolutely, everything is as it should be. And I quite deliberately emphasize that it was only probably so. By using the phrase, I'm told, things aren't all, and that is another obvious qualification, so snowy white there. I'm told. That does not mean it's necessarily so. And how can I say things aren't snowy white? I haven't any proof. And in any case, there was an exactification in which the Fuhrer used the same criticisms a great deal more strongly.
I don't understand you. You don't need to talk to me in that way.
I like to think that I don't. But I also don't like to think that the extent that you gossip between these four walls and that he doesn't move. Of course, I wouldn't dream of accusing you of casting ill-considered aspersions on your husband any more than I think my own boy capable of doing anything to harm his own father. But doing harm and doing it wittingly are unfortunately two very different matters.
You can stop that right now. What about the kind of things you say yourself? Here I am, worrying myself solely whether you make that remark about life in Nazi Germany being intolerable before or after the one about the Brown House.
I never said anything of the sort.
You were acting absolutely as if I were the police. All I'm doing is racking my brains about what the boy may have overheard.
The term Nazi Germany just isn't in my vocabulary.
And that stuff about the warden of our block, and how the papers print nothing but lies. And that one we were saying about civil defense the other day. When does the boy hear a single constructive remark? It just doesn't do any good to a child's attitude of mind. It's simply demoralizing. And at a time when the Fuhrer keeps stressing that Germany's future lies in Germany's youth. He really isn't the kind of boy to rush off and announce one just like that. It makes me feel quite ill.
He's vindictive, though.
What on earth has he got to be vindictive about?
God knows. The time I confiscated his tree frog, perhaps.
But that was a week ago.
It's that kind of thing that sticks in his mind, though.
What did you confiscate it for anyway?
He wouldn't catch any flies for it. He was letting the creature starve.
But he's really run off his feet, you know.
And there's nothing the frog can do about that.
But he never came back to the subject. And I gave him 10 pennies only a week ago. He only has to want something and he gets it.
Exactly. I call that bribery.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, they'll simply say we're trying to bribe him to keep his mouth shut.
What do you imagine they could do to you?
Absolutely anything. There's no limit, my God. And to think I'm supposed to be a teacher, an educator of our youth, all right? Our youth, it scares me stiff.
But they've nothing against you.
They've something against everyone. Everyone is suspect. Once suspicion's there, they're suspect.
But a child is not a reliable witness. A child hasn't the faintest idea what it's talking about.
So you say. But when do they start having to have witnesses for things?
Couldn't we have worked out what you could have meant by your remarks? Then he could have just misunderstood you.
Well, what did I say? I can't even remember. It's all the fault of that damn rain. You know, it puts one in a bad mood. And in any case, I'm the last person to say anything negative about the moral resurgence that the German people is going through these days. And I foresaw the whole thing as early as the winter of 1932.
Carl, there just isn't time to discuss that now. We must straighten everything out right away. There's not a minute to spare.
I just don't believe Klaus Heinrich's capable of it.
Let's start with the Brown House and all the filth.
I never said a word about filth.
You said the paper's full of filth and you want to cancel it.
Right, the paper, but not the Brown House.
Couldn't you have been saying that you wouldn't stand for such filth in the churches? Now, do you think the people now being tried could quite as well be the same as used to spread malicious rumors about the Brown House, suggesting things were called out snowy white land, and that they have started looking into their own place instead? And what you were saying to the boy was that he should stop fiddling with the wireless and read the paper, because you are firmly of the opinion that the youth of the Third Reich should have a clear view of what's happening around them.
It wouldn't be any use.
Carl, I'm not going to give up now. You should be strong. The Fuhrer keeps on.
I'm not going to have myself brought before the evidence box and giving evidence against me.
There's no need to take it like that.
It was a grave mistake, seeing so much of the clinches.
But nothing whatever has happened to him.
Yes, but there's talk of an inquiry.
What would it be like if everybody got in such a panic as soon as there was talk of an
Do
inquiry?
you think our block warden might have anything against us?
You mean suggesting they asked? You He got a box of cigars for his birthday the other day, and his Christmas box was ample.
And the guards gave him 15 marks.
Yes, but they were still taking the socialist paper in 1932. And as late as May 1933, they were hanging out the old nationalist flag.
That's the phone.
Shall I answer it?
I don't know. All right, just give it a moment. And if it rings again, then answer. We can't go on living like this. Carl Judas, that's what you born me, sitting here, gulping down all the soup we've given him and noting down every little thing his father says. The little spy.
That's a dreadful thing to say. Do you think we ought to make any kind of preparations?
You think he'll bring them straight back with him?
Could he really?
Perhaps I'd better put on my iron cross.
Of course you must, Carl. But they've nothing against you at the school, have they?
Oh, I don't know. I'm prepared to teach whatever they want taught, but what is that? How am I supposed to know what they want Bismarck to have been like, and especially when they're taking so long to publish these new textbooks, and couldn't you just give the man another 10 marks? All right, she's another one who's always listening.
And about the picture of Hitler? Shouldn't we hand it about their desk? It'd look better.
Yes, do that. But suppose he goes and says we deliberately hung it. It might look as if we had a bad conscience. Was that the door?
I didn't hear anything.
It was.
Carl!
Oh, just keep a grip on yourself, all right? Pack some things for me.
What's the matter? Where have you been? Did you simply go out to buy chocolate? Whatever else? Obvious, isn't it?
You suppose he's telling the truth?
Hello, this is Judith Key. Is that you, Doctor? Good evening. I just wanted to ring up and say you'll have to be looking for a new bridge partner. I'm going away for a bit. No, not long. Anyway, just a couple of weeks. I want to go to Amsterdam. Yes, it's said to be very lovely there in spring. Oh, I've got friends there. No, plural, believe it or not. Who wouldn't get for a fourth? Oh, come on, we haven't played for a fortnight. Oh, yes, that's right. Fritz had a cold, too. See, it's absurd to go on playing bridge when it's as cold as this, I always say. Oh, but anyway, how could I know. Anyway, Thekla had her mother there. What put that idea into my head? No, it was nothing. I kept putting it off, and now I've really got to. Right. We'll have to cancel our cinema date. Remember me to Thekla. Oh, and ring him up on a Sunday sometimes, could you, perhaps? Well, au revoir. Yes, of course I will. Goodbye.
Enter the local Newtons, dressed up like bearded Teutons, not one of them hook knows. For the scientists and the barbarians, the crafted impeccable Aryan, self-certified, physics enclosed.
corresponding with him like this.
We absolutely mustn't be.
Well, without it, we're stuck.
You won't be able to read it. I use my shorthand. It's safer. I'll read that to you.
For God's sake, be careful.
Is Rolcom in the lab today?
No, but Reinhardt is. Sit over here.
The problem concerns two arbitrary countervariants, vectors psi and nu, and a countervariant vector z. This is used to form the elements of the next tensor of the second degree, whose structure can be expressed by sigma minus LR equals C minus 1 base of HR.
Just a minute.
When matter is passive, incoherent, and not acting on itself by means of tensions, T equals mu will be the only component in this tensional energy depth that differs from zero. Hence, this static gravitational field is created, whose equation, when taken whose equation, when taking into account the constant proportionality factor 8 pi x, will be delta f equals 4 pi x mu. Given a suitable choice of spatial coordinates, the degree of variation from c squared to t squared would be very slight. By comparison, however, half the mass from which the field originates, the masses concerned will be very small, and the motion of the bodies implicated in this gravitational field would be brought into the static field by means of a geodetic worldline. Hence, this satisfies the variational principle sigma d as equals 0, where the end of the relative portion of the worldline remains fixed.
But what's Einstein got to say?
What a typical piece of misplaced Jewish ingenuity. Nothing to do with physics.
Hello. May I speak to Frost Shock? Laddie. Oh, I was just calling to say goodbye. I'm going away for a bit. Well, you see, actually, I was calling to say that, well, Fritz has got the professor coming here Tuesday evening, and I wondered if you both could come too. I'm off tonight, as I said. Right, Tuesday, that's it. No, I only wanted to tell you I'm off tonight. There's no connection. I thought you might be able to come then. Right, well, let's say even though I shan't be there, right? Well, I know you're not that sort of people, but Everyone's being so careful. So you'll come then? It depends on Max. Look, you tell him the professor will be there. Right, well, I must ring off then. Goodbye.
Notice in our procession the farmer's sour expression. They've underpriced his crop. What his pigs require is milk whose price has gone higher. They make him blow his top.
You know, I didn't want to have you mixed up in all this, but you found out, and now you'll just have to shut your trap, or else your dad will go off to Loddensburg jail for the rest of his born days. There's not wrong in feeding our cattle when they're hungry. God doesn't want any beast to starve. And as soon as she's hungry, she squeals. And I'm not going to have any sow squeal with hunger on my farm. But they don't let me feed them. Because the state says so.
I beg your pardon.
Because the state says so. But I'll feed her just the same, I am. Because if I don't feed her, she'll die. And I shan't get any compensation for that.
I beg your pardon?
And I shan't get any compensation for that.
Too right. Our brains aren't brain, and those brothers have no business telling us what to do. They got the Jews out, but the state's the worst Jew of them all. They got the Jews out, but the state's the worst Jew of them all. And the Reverend Father saying, "Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the corn." That's his way of telling us, go ahead and feed our cattle. It's worthless as we did for your plan, and we weren't asked.
I beg your pardon?
It's worthless as we did for your plan, and we weren't asked.
That's right. They don't favor the farmers, and the farmers don't favor them. I'm supposed to deliver over my grain and pay through the nose for my cattle feed so that the spiv can buy guns.
I beg your pardon.
So that the spiv can buy guns.
Use them like gates, Tony. And you, Marie, run into the pasture, and as soon as you see anyone coming, give us a call.
Go on. Have a good feed, love. Heil Hitler! When a beast is hungry, there ain't no state.
I beg your pardon.
When a beast is hungry, there ain't no state.
Is that you, Gertrude? It's Judith. Look, I'm so sorry to disturb you. Thanks. I just wanted to call and ask if you could see that Fritz is all right. I'm going away for a bit. Well, why not? Well, being his sister and all that, I thought that you... Oh, come on, nobody would think that anyway. Not Fritz. Right, well, I'm sure he knows we don't get on that well. Well, then he can simply call you if you prefer it that way. Yes, I'll tell him that. Look, everything's fairly straight. Of course, the flat's on the big side of the room, and you'd better leave his workroom to Ida to deal with. She knows what's to be done. I find her pretty intelligent, and he's used to her. There's another thing. I hope you don't mind my saying so, but he doesn't like to speak before meals. Can you remember that? I always used to watch myself. Oh, I don't want to argue about that just now. It's not long before my train leaves, and I haven't finished packing, you know. Remind him to go to his tailor's. He just ordered a new overcoat. And do see that his bedroom is properly heated. He likes to sleep with the window open, and it's too cold for that. Oh, I don't think he needs to toughen himself up. But I must hang off now. I'm very grateful to you, Gertrude, and I'm sure we'll write to each other, won't we? Goodbye.
There's a lot of jokes told. Fringe. Right, so a cheerful jest or two makes work seem child's play. The deadly menace of pessimism is unknown under National Socialism. Different than the old days, wasn't it? That rotten old Weimar Republic didn't give the workers much to laugh about, you mean? What are we working for, they used to ask. That's what some of them said. I didn't quite catch that. Oh, I see. You're referring to the inevitable grousers. But they're dying out now. They see that kind of thing. Waste of time because everything's booming in the Third Reich now. There's a strong hand on the helm once again. That's how you feel too, isn't it, Ms. Schmidt? CNN enjoys yours.
And then we also work at decorating our place of work, which gives us great pleasure. Our portrait of the Fuhrer was purchased thanks to the voluntary contributions, and we are very proud of him. Also, of the geranium plants which provide a magical touch of color and the greatness of our working environment. By suggestion of Miss Kinsey.
So you decorate your place of work with flowers, the sweet offsprings of the field. And I imagine there's been a good few other changes in the factory since Germany's destined to return.
Washrooms. The washrooms were the personal idea of Mr. Boucher, our managing director, for which we would like to provide our heartfelt thanks. Anybody who wants to wash can do so in these fine washrooms, as long as there isn't too much of a crowd fighting for the babies.
Everybody wants to be first, yes?
Only 6 taps for 552 of us. It's disgraceful how some of them behave.
But it all works out perfectly happily. And now we're going to hear from Mr. If you'd be so good as to tell me your name?
Mon.
Mr. Mon. Tell me, Mr. Mon, what moral effect has the great increase in the workforce had on your fellow workers?
How do you mean?
Well, are all of you happy to see the wheels turning and plenty of work for everybody?
You bet.
And everyone once more able to take his wage back at home at the end of the week. That's not to be sneezed at either.
No.
Things weren't always like that. In that rotten old republic, many a comrade had to apply his weary way to public welfare and live on charity.
18 March 50.
No deduction. A capital joke. Not much is deduct. What's there?
No, nowadays,
they deduct more. So there we are. Everybody's once again got bread and work under National Socialism. You're exactly right, Mr. What do you say your name was? Not a single wheel is idle. Not a single shaft used to rust up in Adolf Hitler's Germany. Enjoyable cooperation, the intellectual worker and the manual worker are tackling the reconstruction of our beloved German fatherland. Heil Hitler.
too difficult. No, he doesn't know. I just simply packed my things. I don't think so. I don't think he'll say all that much. Look, it's all gotten too difficult for him, just in everyday matters. That's something we haven't arranged. We just never talk about it. Absolutely never. No, he hasn't changed. Look, on the contrary, I'd be grateful if you and Kurt could come look after him to start with for a bit. Yes, especially Sundays, and try to make him give up his flat. It's too big for him. I would have liked to come say goodbye to you, but it's your porter, you know. So goodbye. No, don't come down to the station then. That's a bad idea. Goodbye. All right. That's a promise. Well, Fritz, I'm off. I suppose I waited too long, and I'm awfully sorry, but... Fritz, you must let me go. You cannot keep it. I'll be your downfall. It's quite clear. I know you're not a coward. You're not afraid of the police, but there are worse things. They won't kill you in a camp, but they'll ban you from the clinic any day now, and I'm not going to sit around flat and pretend to watch you read magazines. It's pure selfishness on my part, my leaving. That's all. And don't tell me anything. Don't tell me that you haven't changed. You have. Only last week, you established that the proportion of Jewish scientists wasn't all that high. Objectivity is always the start of it, and what you keep telling me, I've never been such a Jewish chauvinist as now. Of course I know. Chauvinism is catching. Oh, Fritz. What have we become? I never told you I wanted to leave. Have been for a very long time. I can't talk when I look at you, Fritz. Then again, it seems to me that there's no point in talking. Everything's already been said. What's gotten into them to think that? What do they really want? I mean, what have I done to them? Do I participate in politics? Did I vote communist? I'm just one of those bourgeois housewives with servants and so on, and now all of a sudden it seems only bombs can be that. I often think about something you told me a while back. How some people were more valuable than others. How when one lot of people had diabetes, they were given insulin, and the others weren't. And this was something that I understood. Idiot that I was. Well, now you've drawn a new distinction of the same sort, and this time, I'm one of the less valuable ones. Proves me right. Yes, I am packing. Don't pretend you haven't noticed anything these past couple of weeks, for it's nothing really matters anymore. Except just one thing. If we spend our last hour together without looking at each other's eyes, that is a triumph that they cannot be allowed. The liars who force everyone else to lie. 10 years ago, when somebody said that nobody would think I was Jewish, you instantly said yes. They would. And that's fine. That's straightforward. So why go in a roundabout way now? I'm happy. So they can't take your job as senior physician, and because you're not sleeping nowadays, and because they stop saying good morning to you at the clinic. I don't want to hear you tell me that I mustn't go, and I'm hurrying because I don't want to hear you tell me I must. It's a matter of time. Principles are a matter of time. There are good ones, which last a long while, but even they only have a certain length. So don't get the idea that I'm angry. Yes, I am. Why should I always be understanding it? What's wrong with the shape of my nose or the color of my hair? I am to leave the town in which I was born so that they don't have to go short of butter. What sort of people are you, even yourself included? You work out the Trendelenburg test and the quantum theory, yet you allow a lot of semi-barbarians to tell you you are to conquer the world, but you cannot have the woman you want, the artificial love, and the time bomber. You are monsters, or you pander to monsters. I know I'm being unreasonable, but God, what good is reason in a world like this? Well, there you sit saying nothing while your wife packs. Walls have ears. Oh, is that it? Yet you people say nothing. One lot listens and the other keeps silent. I am supposed to keep silent too. To hell with that. If I love you, I will keep silent. I truly do love you. Hand me those other clothes. They're suggestive. I'll need them. I'm only 36. I'm not too old. I can't do much more experience. The next country I settle in, things cannot be like this. The next man that I get must be allowed to keep me. If you aren't to pretend you're going to send me money, we both know you won't be allowed to. And you aren't to say that this business is just going to last rather more for 6 weeks. This business is going to last more than 6 weeks. You know that. And so do I. So don't go saying, after all, it's only 2 or 3 weeks.
That's a lot of nonsense.
Do you want me to say that?
Where are you thinking of going?
Amsterdam, just away.
But you've got nobody there.
No. And then he says,
why don't you wish to stay here? There's no need for you to go as far as I'm concerned.
no.
You know, I haven't changed. Don't you, Julie? There's nothing else that makes you want to go?
You know that.
I guess it's not such a bad idea, I suppose. You need a breather. It's stifling in this place. I'll come and collect you as soon as I get across the frontier. Even if it's only for 2 days, I'll start feeling better.
Yes, why don't you?
Things can't go on like this all that much longer. Something's bound to change. The whole business will die down like an inflammation. It's a disaster, it really is.
Definitely. Did you run into shock?
Yes, just down the stairs, that's to say. I think he's begun to be sorry about the way that they dropped us. You know, they can't completely sit on filthy intellectuals like us much longer. And they can't start a war with a ton of spineless wrecks.
He says.
You know, people aren't all that standoffish if you face up to them squarely. So, what time are you off then?
9:15.
Where am I to send money to?
Let's say, Rosante, Amsterdam, main post office.
I'll see if I can get a special permit. Good God, I can't send my wife off with 10 bucks a month. It's all a lousy business.
Well, if you could come and collect me, it could do you a bit of good.
To read a paper with something in it for once.
I rang Gertrude. She'll see it all right.
Quite unnecessary. For only 2 or 3 weeks.
Could you hand me my fur coat?
After all, it's only for 2 or 3 weeks.
And as for the physician, the saint gives them position, pays them so much of fees. Their job is to keep ending, the bits the police keep sending, and send it all back to the police.
Know anything about him? I didn't see till they started bandaging him. He was on the stretcher quite close to me. And he was still conscious then, but when I asked what he got, he didn't reply. Whole body's one big wound. No need to ask him. Who was there? I didn't see till they started bandaging him.
Quiet, please. It's the professor.
Gentlemen, we have here quite a beautiful case showing how essential it is to ask questions and keep on searching for the deeper cause of the disease if the medicine is to degenerate into mere quackery. This patient suffers from all the symptoms of neuralgia, and for a considerable time we've been giving him the correct treatment. In fact, however, he suffers from Raynaud's disease, which he contracted in the course of his job operating pneumatically powered tools. That is to say, gentlemen, an occupational disease. We have now begun giving him the correct treatment. His case will show you what a mistake it is to treat the patient as a mere component of the clinic, instead of asking him where he has come from. How did he contract this disease? And what will he be returning to once his treatment has concluded? There are 3 things a good doctor must be able to do, and they are, the first, ask questions, the second,
Ask questions.
the third,
Ask questions, sir.
correct, ask questions particularly concerning,
The social conditions.
yes, the great thing is never to be shy of looking into the patient's private life, often a regrettably depressing one. If a patient is forced to follow an occupation that is bound to destroy their body in the long run, one doesn't much like knowing about it, and consequently doesn't ask. What has this man got? Ugh, I see. Contusions on the back and thighs, open wounds on the lower abdomen, further symptoms.
Blood in his urine.
Diagnosis on admission?
Lesion to left kidney?
Get him x-rayed.
How is this incurred, sir? What have they put?
A fall down the stairs, it says here.
Fall down the stairs. Why are his hands tied that way, sister?
The patient is twice for his dressing.
Why?
Where is the patient coming? Where's he going back to?
If this patient seems disturbed, give him morphine. Feeling better now? Hoping soon as your skin is filled.
Worker brought in from Horneinberg.
Seems like another case of occupational disease, I suppose.
Behold, several million electors, 100% in all sectors, have asked to be led by the nose. They didn't get rolled bread and butter, they didn't get warm clothes or fodder, they did get the leader they chose.
No butter again, did anyone? That'll be all I can afford on my old man's pay anyway.
Stop grumbling, will you? Germany needs guns, not butter. No question about it. He spelled it out.
Quite right then.
Do you think we could have reoccupied the Rhineland with butter? Everyone's doing it the way we did, but have some making any sacrifices?
Keep your hair on. All of us are making some.
What do you mean?
Don't you hear something when they're not collecting? There you are. She's giving. And so are we. Voluntary like.
That's an old story. Not a penny to spare when the Fuhrer needs a bit of backing all for his mighty past. It's just rags what we did the winter aid. They'd give them moths if they could get away with it. I mean, we know the kind we got to deal with. You know, that old factory owner down in number 12 gave us a worn out pair of old riding boots.
No foresight. That's the trouble. A dairy woman comes out of the shop in a white apron.
Won't be long now. Morning, Miss Rule. Did you hear they came for young Lettner last night?
What, the butcher?
Right, his son.
But he was in the SA.
Used to be. The old fella's been in the party since 1929. He was away at a livestock sale yesterday, or they'd have taken him off too.
What are they supposed to have done?
They've been overcharging for meat, hardly getting anything on their quota. They've been turning customers away. They even say he was buying on the black market. From Jews, even.
Bound to come for him eventually, weren't they?
He used to be one of the keenest of the lot. Shot that old Zeisler at number 17 for not taking the Volkswagen Boxer. An old militant, that's him.
No good of surprise when he gets back.
If he gets back.
No foresight. That's the trouble.
Looks as if they won't open it all today.
Best thing they can do. Police only have to look round a place like that, and they're bound to find something, aren't they? I mean, with stock so hard to get, we get ours from the cooperative. We've had no trouble so far. There'll be no cream today.
Oh my God.
They say that he's been overcharging on the mortgage, and he's counting on it being canceled or something.
They can't start canceling mortgages. That'd be going a bit too far.
Young Lettner was quite a nice fellow.
Old Lettner was always the crazy one. Wouldn't shut that boy in the essay when sooner or later he'd be with a girl if he'd asked me.
What do you mean, crazy?
Crazy, did I say? He always went crazy if anyone went against this idea. This idea in the olden days, down with the selfishness of an individual.
They're opening up after all.
Got him lit, haven't they?
Stout woman comes out of the butcher shop that is now half lit. She stops on the pavement and looks down the street for something. Then she turns to the dairy woman.
Good morning, Mrs. Skilcher. Have you seen old Richard? He should have been here with the meat well before now.
The dairy woman doesn't reply. All of them just stare at her. She understands and goes quickly back into the shop.
Act as though nothing's happened. It all went down at Nickaport yesterday when the old man made such a stink. You could hear him shouting across the square, and they used that against him.
I never heard a word about that, Mrs. Skilcher.
Really? You didn't hear how he refused to hang the plaster ham they bought him in his shop window? What, with him hanging nothing but the slates with the prices all week? He said, I've got nothing left for that window. And when they brought him that dummy ham alongside a wheel so naturally you think it was real, he shouted, I'm not hanging any make-believe stuff in my window and a lot more I wouldn't care to repeat. Against the government, all of it. To which he threw it in the road. They had to pick it up out of the dirt.
No foresight. That's the trouble.
How can people lose control like that?
From That was the one. They should have played that one.